top of the screen.
Right, good morning, one, good morning all. Here he is, just having had his drums spun by the local CID, Tony V. Crispy is keeping it real with his bi-curious Greek football shirt on, because apparently he's a closet Greek football fan. That's fantastic to know. What's the name of the team, Chris?
It is FC Paphos, who lost to Bayern Munich 5-1 last night.
There we go. So your taste in football is universally poor. Right, so we're here today to say our farewells to Thomas Frank. It's nice knowing you. It's a complete and utter waste of time. We're going to file you next to the dead Australian. Obviously, the grave is a little bit smaller than we would have thought, but he's taking up a lot of space as he's deflating. Gentlemen, I am getting rather tired watching this football under Thomas Frank. I haven't lost faith in Frank because I've seen the good he can do. But is the new manager Bounce well and truly a dead duck and over and ting?
I would say yes. Look, it's clear that Thomas Frank's dealing with the ghosts of Daniel Levy past, and that is a shockingly bad squad. Some piss poor players and some junk that we couldn't give away if we tried. Yet he does have to take responsibility that in a game we should be going all out to win last night. Every Champions League fixture, we should be putting our strongest starting 11 out. So tell me why Polinia, who we have all come to love, and you no longer hate him, H, and has arguably been our player.
Hate's a strong word. I mean, I don't have any feelings either way for these people. They're just hired hands, aren't they?
But Polinia, who's probably been our most consistent and best player for the first 7 games of this season, why is he sitting on the bench? Kudos. I almost said beach, and you couldn't blame him if he was there. But Kudos, who arguably our best attacking player, why is he not starting? And then who else? Xavi Simons. What's the point of paying 55, 60 million pounds for somebody if you go revert to type and you go play Brennan Johnson, who is an absolute disgrace. He's a tapping merchant, and when he's tapping in 95% of the time, he's transparent, doesn't track back, offers nothing. Odebear, 28 games for Tottenham, 27 of them have been piss poor. He offers nothing. He's championship quality at best. And then you move further forward. Richarlison, I've been saying it for weeks. I feel like I'm on a record stuck on repeat. The bloke's crap. He offers nothing. He is a complete waste of space, a complete waste of wearing the shirt. So I just can't believe that Frank was happy to deploy these guys again, yet those players that perhaps are of a better quality are sat on the bench scratching their heads thinking, why aren't we getting 90 minutes or getting football time?
Tony, do you have anything cheerier to add?
No. I would say you add Bentancur to that mix as well.
100%. And why are we talking about rewarding him with a new contract of up to 150 grand a week? We should be moving him on. He is not a great player. There's not people banging on your door during the summer trying to get him out of the club. We hoard and we celebrate mediocrity and junk.
Does anybody want to hear something really funny that happened last night?
Go on then.
Okay, it's the magic of knowing me. Some of you have experienced that magic, that fairy dust, that special aura that is knowing me.
Je ne sais quoi, je ne sais quoi.
The je ne sais quoi of being around me, being within 10 feet of me, you're automatically in a zone of merriment and delight. So I got really fed up watching the game, and they scored their second goal. And so I wasn't thinking. I just picked up what was in front of me because I couldn't put a pint glass through the TV. I was in a public house, and I picked up my mate's jacket and threw it at the telly in a fit of pique, which wasn't particularly amusing. But later on that evening, when he looked for his door key, he didn't realise it had fallen onto the pub floor. And he had to spend the night in a guest house.
I was going to say, spend the night on your settee in the spoons position.
No, fuck that. No. Absolutely no visitors unless they're female and naked. But no, he was inconvenienced to the point of I can't even repeat some of the messages that I received on my phone, which of course was switched off because at 10 o'clock it all goes into sleepy mode. And so to say he was inconvenienced is an understatement. But I think you're responsible for your own possessions. I have to say that. I've got air tags on my stuff that can go missing. And a couple of weeks ago, I left my phone in a mate's car, and my world fell over, and I thought, that's it, I'm done for, I've lost my phone, stop the clocks. And then, of course, I raced back to the apartment, put my Mac up, and it showed that my phone was actually still in the vehicle. So we had to push all of the, nappies, KFC wrappings and everything, and eventually found the phone under the seat. But I think you're responsible for your own gear, but it just made me laugh enormously.
And there was us, Tony, who cynically thought that H was going to live his greatest Jeffrey Dahmer fantasy by taking a strange man back to his house.
Well, there you go.
If I'd have told you what Chris gets up to, you would think that was beyond Dahmer-esque, quite frankly.
Well, this week's episode has been brought to you by Apple.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, put an AirTag on it, kids. But swallow one in case you go missing.
Does that stretch to your wallet as well? As I understand, you had a bit of a misunderstanding when you took a dolly bird out recently.
Yes. Well, the trouble is there's a difference between inadvertently not having the wallet on you and the wallet missing. I was well aware of where it was because I've got one of these metal things which has got an AirTag attached to it, and you can't be scanned by the nefarious people like Tony, you've all met them, who wander around bleeping you while you're on the underground. But no, it's it's all good. But yeah, I just thought it was hilarious. For a moment's stupidity of me throwing his jacket, which I vaguely remember him saying, "That's my coat," and picking it up and putting it on the back on the chair. I managed to inflict him a night of homelessness. So that's probably cost him about 60 quid. I think it's hilarious, but there we go.
All of that would have been infinitely less painful than having to sit through that crap last night.
It was a horrible, horrible game of football. And I'll be honest with you, I'm getting. I hope I'm giving off outraged consumer vibes because when really, again, not worth watching, and that's the problem. That's what we're up against. This squad. We saw some good games, and I don't like the new manager bounce because it goes down this same rabbit hole, this same insanity of people telling you that Jermaine Genius always raised his game against Arsenal. Well, let's do a magic trick and pretend that everybody's Arsenal then, because I've got zero time for people who pick and choose when they're going to switch it on. I just thought last night was absolutely shocking. These guys are being paid through the eyeballs. It was a Champions League game. I mean, we've got these crumbs, these absolute losers in the fan base wandering around saying, "Oh yeah, champions in Europe." No, we won the Europa League trophy. Two massively different things. One's over here and one's over there. And there's no substance to it all. It just drives me out the bloody wall.
I think that for me, looking at that last night, I think Thomas Frank got it wrong. I think he should have played his strongest team from the word go. Hopefully, get the game won, then you can bring on some replacements just to ease back a little bit. But I've always been that believer in that. I've always said that, and every time we talked about these things, put your strongest team out first, get the game won, then you can relax a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well. I mean, I again, of course I do because it's me. I don't subscribe to this business that Bodø Glimt are some secretly remarkable powerhouse. I'm not interested in the story. I'm not interested in the journey. They're playing on an artificial pitch in the Arctic Circle, so put your extra big woolly knickers on and get on with it. I don't understand why players who aren't breaking their nuts in half are incapable of playing 2 games a week. We've got Leeds United at the weekend, and we're in no better position to face them than we were before we played this lot last night.
Last night, what you saw last night was a team that wanted it against a team that thought they were just going to turn up and win it. And I don't think you necessarily say that Frank went out with that attitude. I'm sure because we've seen all the evidence, we've seen what they do in training, etc. Yeah. I think there are too many we know there are too many second-rate players in the squad. That was proven beyond a doubt last night. If Thomas Frank wasn't realising it before, he damn well should be realising it now, because, you have to put in the likes of Polinia, who's only just come in, Xavi, who's only just come in, Simons has just come in, and sorry, who else has come in? Saar, was it Saar coming on? I can't remember now.
And the other guy's got a dead leg that he picked up 3 weeks ago, and he's still recovering. I mean, what's he made of?
Yeah. And it was just so obvious that Kudus came on, didn't he? And it was just obvious. You put those three on, and the whole team outlook changes. The energy, the dynamism, the moving forward. Me and my wife were sitting there last night. I lost count of the amount of times we passed back. I just got sick of it. I got sick of this slow, ponderous build-up from behind, all the way just pass, go forward, pass, right back. Take a long throw. Ball comes out, pass it right back, go the other way, go over there. Yeah. It's just, honestly, it's just so boring. And
it was boring. It was incredibly boring.
So talk to me about our man Vicario, another masterclass of goalkeeping, isn't it?
What do you want me to say? I called it out pretty early.
Yeah, he's shit. Yeah, a cheap signing. All these people say, but he's a great goal shot stopper.
Stop it! Yeah, it's like saying he's a great stunt man, but every now and again he falls out the plane and dies.
Gentlemen,
these aren't mutually exclusive things you can have together. This guy isn't very good playing in goal. He's dreadful with his feet, and what does he do? He specialises in playing tippy tappy with his toes.
Yeah. He's a typical. I'll give you this. I'll give you this example. At the time we signed him, we could have signed Raya for £40 million, but Baldy decided going cheap was the better option. They also looked at the data, because Vicario's data looked really good on the surface, but actually data doesn't survive the actual examination of the games and about what he does. And it's so obvious. Data helps to indicate certain things, but it's not the be all and end all. I'm a great believer in, you can have data, but what you see with your eyes tells you a hell of a lot more.
Data for me, because I'm big on the data front, I'm all over the data, but data is a guide. It's something that you can use to, like the mood music. So for example, I'm going to bring the page up now. I've been a little bit slow this morning because I had other stuff to do, but if you see that the passing accuracy, and again, for those of you who are bored by this, off and go and do something else. Go do the washing up. I bet there's something you could do in your house that needs cleaning. But the business with passing accuracy, it's fundamental. Are you able as a footballer to move the ball from you to another player wearing your shirt? If you are able to do that most of the time with huge success, welcome aboard. You just passed the first one of the tests we're going to run. If you're not able to do it, then you are bringing chaos. You are effectively playing for the other team, to use the phrase. And the data gives you a good indicator. When I look at the back line, I always look at I'm going to do it actually fucking now, because, I mean, this needs to be said, because I guarantee you the data for last night, we weren't passing to each other properly. And if you're not able to do that, then you haven't got a football team. No amount of talent or skill or anything else is going to cut it, because you simply haven't done the job properly. And of course they've moved the fucking thing, so I have to go into the other thing.
Whilst you're finding that, H, I'll tell you something else as well, which really chuffed me off. Bodø Glimt, they're a very competitive team. Yeah, they're coming through. You can talk whether you talk about journey or not, but the fact is, we were outworked by a team that has so much less resource than we do. And doesn't have all the great facilities that we do, has all the coaching, the one-to-ones, the money, everything. They just wanted it more. They just absolutely wanted it more. And we weren't up for the battle. And that's not because I don't think of Frank, because I actually do. I think that when Frank's given the right tools, he will actually do something right. He will get it sorted. But we have got too many players who just coast through games thinking they're because they get paid more, because they're playing in the Premier League, they're better than everybody else, and that's just not the case. You've got to do it on the pitch, week in, week out, without fail.
Right. This is absolutely correct. To give you a good example of how not to go about doing things, last night, Pedro Porro, passing accuracy 77%. And again, for those of you who don't understand this, let me make it biblically clear. 90% plus is what you want. It's not up for debate. If you want to debate it, you're arguing that water isn't really that wet. Okay, so stop thinking stupid things, and for the love of Jesus, don't tell me them, because I don't have the capacity to help you. I haven't been trained at medical school. 77%, so that sucks. That's 13% off of where he should be. Danso, 88%, which again, why isn't he in the 90th percentile? It's not complicated. The only man who you can regularly pin your hat on, Micky van der Ven, 96%. One man out of four. And Jed Spence coming in, phoning it in, 80%.
Yeah,
Now, you
also
might say, well, 80% isn't bad. If I got 80% in my German exam, I'd be able to speak colloquial German. But the reality is, it isn't good enough as a defender. This is not up for debate. I know I'm boring with this. So, Papa Matasar, brilliant. 93% in midfield. Then we go to Bentancur. Where was he? 97%. But what were those passes? It sounds to me like a lot of those were going backwards and sideways.
Oh, they were horrible. It's horrible,
Lucas
mate. It really
Bergvall,
was.
73%. You see, for the guys further exposed up the field, you expect the numbers to peter out. Okay, I understand that.
Let's go back to
86%, which is fantastic for a guy playing as an advanced position as him. But what were those passes? How were they constructed? Were they lots of short passes? You know, but you've got Richarlison, 40%. He only touched the ball 10 times. 10 times he touched the ball. 60 million quid. There's your money. There's the door. What was that? It was a kick up the arse. And Brennan Johnson, 77%, touched the ball 21 times.
Well, if you go back to Jed Spence, hooked after 82 minutes, made 0 accurate crosses in the game, won 0 aerial duels, and made 0 clearances, lost possession 18 times. And
lost possession. Well, I've got 15 times here because there's always a variance with statistics, because you're basically down to a Matt Hayes type character sat there with a finger on a little funny keypad, clicking the buttons. But 15, but losing the ball that frequently in his capacity on the park isn't acceptable.
Well, you say 80% sounds good, but remember, 80% for a defender, I mean, you're losing the ball 20% of the time and creating more risk for your team.
That's what I'm saying to you. If you need to contextualize everything, like I said, if you got 80% in your driving test, you'd probably just pass your driving exam as long as you hadn't backed it into a tree or something. 80% generally is like, well, you understood. I mean, I remember a school teacher saying this to me. You know, if you only get 50% in your geography exam, you only listened, or you only absorbed half of the information that was poured into you by the teacher.
I think you're referring to core concepts.
Exactly. And but on a football pitch, defensively and otherwise, the bigger the number, the better you are. I don't care. There's no other thing. You can have a guy who comes on, doesn't do anything and scores a goal. Hello, Brennan Johnson, I'm looking at you. But that isn't disruptive. That's just an anomaly. That's not the norm. That doesn't actually reflect his value as a footballer. Of course, if he does it every game, we can make a change to the rules and just say, well, he's a fabulous asset. We're very lucky to get him. But he doesn't do it every game. He invariably does nothing, including not scoring. So it just to me beggars belief that these guys put in such appallingly bad performances.
When Thomas Frank first took over, or very soon after taking over at Brentford, in 2019, the Guardian did a really interesting article, and it was about how he had imposed a no dickhead rule, and he only wanted good people. It's not because we don't want personality or an edge, but we want people who actually care. Perhaps he should impose a no wanker rule, because there were 11 of them wearing Spurs shirts last night, and over the last 2 or 3 games, their performances have been flat, without energy, and don't offer much hope unless we can get some quality through the door in January.
Last night was a classic. It was a classic advert, because for me, throughout all of this, the only person who's really had his head held high is Van der Ven.
Yeah, correct.
And last night was a classic example why he should be captain and not Romero.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And the other thing you get, for me as well, if you're going to look at statistics and say, well, they don't tell you everything, but they give you the mood music, blah, blah, whatever phraseology you want to use. but it shows to me how much the guy is thinking. If he's making a determined effort, what are his concentration levels like? I don't mind if you're not putting in every ball is a stellar defense splitting pass or whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, if a guy is passing accurately, it says that he's awake. And I don't see that level of attentiveness from Tottenham players. And quite frequently, like I say, phoning it in. It's not good enough. It really isn't good enough.
Yeah, couldn't disagree with that at all. The only other player who came out with a marginal bit of kudos for me last night was the cameo by Archie Gray when he came on. And again, I think against Leeds on Saturday, we've got to be changing it up. We can't go Bentancur and Polina. It doesn't work.
Absolutely not.
Bergvall and Sarr, there were no highlights to get excited about. What's worse than putting him back in the team and giving him a go? We've got to think outside of the box. The options that we continue to persist with are shit, and they don't do it. And we've given them more than opportunities than anything. Even this 16-year-old kid, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So this Barnett Williams or whatever his name is,
Williams Barnett,
bring him in. We need some creativity. You need to have Kudos on the right. You need to have Simmons through the middle. Why not Polina and Gray as the defensive, and then put this Luca chap on the left? We need to think outside of the box, as our box is collapsing at the moment.
No, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. I mean, we've got Dane Scarlett again, an unused substitute. Ben Davies, I would honestly, I know it sounds very, very nasty, but I'd punch him in the throat, chuck him in the boot of a car, and then push the car off of Beachy Head. Make sure he does not come back. Absolute waste of time.
A little bit extreme, may I add, but I understand what you're saying.
No, he's got to go. He's got to go. I don't want him to go away and then wander back again. I want him to leave and never return. I made the point about doing something obscene to him, something extraordinarily violent, to get the message across. Because I this whole business, and it permeates the fan base. I was a loyal servant. We, this nation, abolished slavery. So
why not
give me your reparations. Let him pay his reparations for slavery out of his enormously swollen salary. Total waste of time. Not good enough.
Maybe just invite him around yours for red wine and biscuits, and I guess he wouldn't be seen again.
Well, I can't promise you that he wouldn't turn up again as a lampshade, or a welcome mat. There's all sorts of things that might happen to him, but you certainly wouldn't recognise him again. Madeline, stop it! Sorry, I got problems with that cupboard.
Yes. H, what I like about you, H, is you're calm and measured.
How is that hide and seek competition progressing?
Well, we have another winner. We have another winner.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
If you're hungry, a crayon. I'm not running a hotel here.
But I've just got to really.
You've just muted
yourself for the climax.
We can't hear you. No speaky. Your microphone is off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we now you've switched the sound back on. We can, yes.
No, I didn't switch the sound off. I got called by somebody on Teams, and it suddenly blocked the sound out for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. That's why. But because to me, I just sit there and looking at the bench and thinking, where is the game changers? I'm looking at the whole team and just looking at where are the game changers? Where are the ones that Kudos we know can impact games? We've seen that already. But I'm talking about somebody in the midfield, because Kudos can't do it all on his own out on the wing. He just can't. And you look at what we've got in the midfield. Polina, absolutely love him. He's one of those guys. I think he was always going to be disruptive and get you going. But create the ability for somebody to go forward.
Does he get you going?
Did you see him the other night after he took his shirt off, mate? Come on, that's a bod and a half, isn't it? Come on,
a bod and a half.
Yeah,
you only get a bucket and a half. That's all I got.
so you're going to the wrong places, mate. That's what it is. But I keep thinking the same thing. Oh, blimey, that was a good one, wasn't it? I keep thinking the same thing. How quickly can we get can we get Kulu and Maddison back? Because my God, Maddison, we've always had our criticisms of him, and we know he's not exactly there, but he would be so much better than Bentancur. He'd be so much better than most of the people that go in there. Now, regardless of whether he dips in and out, I'd get rid of Odeberg straight away. It's just so depressing looking at the lack of creativity. Everything seems to want to come from the wings.
It puts a whole new spin on "You're with me, but I'm gone," because we're already not missing you because of the trail of destruction you've left in your wake.
Yeah.
Well, you look at the bench last night, and we had that Callum Alessi on the 18-year-old. All he's there is a bench warmer. He's never going to get on and get any football. And you look at the rest of it. Who did you have? Malika Hardy, another young defender on the bench. Who else was there? Dane Scarlett. So they're all players that are just there as bench warmers to make up the squad. There's no quality. There's no depth. And
as I said, was it in the thick of it? The movie version with James Gandolfini, and he said to the politician, he said, you're not there to really do anything. You're just room meat. You know, you're just meat.
I remember that. That was really good.
You know, I can't anticipate war. You know, the shitting forecast. But no, the whole thing is that these guys, and you look at them, and it's like when you get a pizza, for example, and it's all the meats. But we all know that once you're over the age of 5, a ham, like boiled, mechanically reclaimed ham, even the smoked variety, doesn't taste of anything. It's got no excitement on your palate. It's just pizza meat. And it's just dull. It doesn't serve any purpose other than to tick a box and say we've got six different toppings on this pizza.
I agree with what you said, Chris. What is the point? I think you said it as well, H. What is the point of having Dane Scarlett consistently on the bench if you are never, ever going to play him? Just get rid of him. Get rid of him.
Yeah, But then again, what is Richarlison doing to justify his existence? Are we playing him just because he's a senior pro? Because that's not the case. You shouldn't be doing
we're playing him out of embarrassment because we've spent an absolute fortune on him and not got our money back.
Well,
that's why we're playing. We're playing him on the hope. The same nitwits. You see, this is the thing with this channel. We don't tolerate nitwits that come out with ridiculously naive sentiments such as, well, Richarlison's a baller. Go to Reddit, where all the other trans-embracing nutcases, the Democrats, the lefties are, and talk to us about it's Brazil's number 9 or whatever. We here are intelligent thinking people, have had sex, have travelled, have done this, that, and the other with our lives, and we can spot a rube a mile off. The guy's a lemon. He isn't worth the rations.
Well, 3 things I guess we need to put out there. That Jens Haig, the forward who scored the 2 goals, I guess he won't be joining the penitentiary as Spence got nowhere near him all night.
Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
First one curled that in really well. Yet we still required them to miss a penalty. That's still yet.
And a sitter. And hit the bar.
Yeah.
Well, they had an Indian instrument. That's a bit off, isn't it?
They could have been out of sight, but we were just ball watching. And there were no positives to take from that whatsoever.
No. I'm terribly sorry if these facts are inconvenient to you, H. You know.
Well, they're alternative facts. That's how I see them.
Oh God, yeah.
I think we need to start one of those
self-help groups, self-harm groups.
I'm trying to think of the name of it, where they've got these polls going and all of these petitions. We should have one that Vicario's never seen on goal again.
Change.org or something like that. Yeah.
Changeforall.org. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, he's the epitome. He's the epitome of a human toilet.
Yeah. Strong men make brave decisions. Yeah, I can't see for one moment Thomas having the testicles big enough to leave him out.
No, and this is another thing about Spurs, which has of course infested us in the modern era. Everything's political.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a captain who can't sit there, who's not nice. He can't speak English. And he's captain. Whereas you've got a guy next to him who is less when you're comparing their brochures, you've got Micky van der Ven on £50,000 a week and hasn't won a World Cup, who speaks English eloquently, but he's not captain.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a guy who delivers passing accuracy 95% plus virtually week in, week out. But he's not captain. He's not captain. And I just find it extraordinary. It's just staggering. So we've got Vicario, who has kind of lucked into, I mean, it's one of those jokes about who died and left you in charge. But how has he got himself inveigled himself into the club where you've got a guy who isn't actually any good at the job, but that hasn't held him back?
No.
Well, honestly, right, when you look at Vicario, especially last night, after every single goal, he was jumping up, going and gesticulating at the defence, right? But as a goalkeeper, you can see absolutely everything happening in front of you, and you can be shouting and screaming at them to get there, get wider, get this, get that. You are the one who can direct that traffic, but he never says a word. And then the moment a goal goes in, he's up gesticulating and looking and screaming at everybody else. Mate, your job is to stop those things from going in. I know sometimes you can't help it because sometimes they could go. There was a couple of decent goals last night, but they could have been prevented by the defenders talking to each other. But that also comes from the goalkeeper saying, get out wide, do this, do that. When I do refereeing at grassroots, I hear the goalkeepers. I know it's not the same quality. We're not talking about the same thing. I hear them screaming at the defenders exactly. They're screaming at their defenders all the time.
No, look, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We're handicapping ourselves. We continue to do it. I mean, we had that bloody Chris Packet hands idiot Frenchman who was morally questionable.
I would take Lloris back in a heartbeat as opposed to
100%.
No. What I'm talking about a guy who looked like he was more at home reading mid-century poetry than he was screaming at a defender. The only time he fell out with anybody of any note was when he refused to come out the dressing room at Newcastle United. I mean, this is not a leader of men. This is a moaning mini. This is a pathetic little tart who shouldn't have been nowhere near the captain's armband. And the same with Sonny when he was captain for X number of weeks or whatever. Totally irrelevant. It's all done. And I have to say, because everything comes from the bloody boardroom in a business, and I'm hoping that the Lewises can make some meaningful change. But I worry with that business with Charrington, which I'm not going to go down again because this isn't a thing on people's sexuality or sanity. But I'm hoping there's less of this namby-pamby. Well, what would the 15-year-olds like to see or feel in their little heads when they walk into the store and buy a shirt? Well, I'll buy a Hugo Lloris shirt because he's a French World Cup winner and he's the captain. Great. Fantastic. You know how it works in horse racing. The handicapper, he weights the horses down to try and get all the horses on a level playing field of ability. And this is like the handicapper going and sticking an extra bar of lead into the saddlebags of one of the horses. Why do you have a team that is captained by the wrong person?
Winning a World Cup does not make you a captain, doesn't make you a leader of men.
No, it doesn't. And I did a piece yesterday on the .com about Romero and his what is his deal? What is his deal? Is it club or is it country? Because I don't have the overwhelming impression. I'm convinced that he prefers Argentina to any club that he's playing for.
He's missed more games for us than he has for his country since we've had him.
He's never played over 30 games in a season for Spurs. Now, I know that's a bit like the 80% thing, but that's like having a permanent, it's like going into bloody House of Fraser. They got 20% off all the new Hugo Boss stuff in there.
One third
20% off without asking.
So 40 what? It depends if you talk about cup competitions as well. You're basically potentially looking at 1/3 of the games he has not played.
Correct. And it's always revolves around international breaks. And it was the same with Lo Celso. This is why I was incandescent that he was rewarded with his 100 caps, because he'd been with us for years and it was like he was picking and choosing when he was going to play.
Well, can we do that for Brandon? Can we do that for Brandon?
Near the team.
Why don't we just do a long service award for like Brandon Austin and things like that as well while we're at it? Because if you're going to make it, if you're going to be that pointless, you may as well go the whole hog and just give them a watch for being here for a couple of for 5 years or something like that.
IWC would like to present you with a piece of junk that they've had floating around in the back of the warehouse, this Lifetime Achievement Award, and not falling over and not forgetting to tie your shoelaces up.
Winner of the not playing the most award.
Yeah, but it's particularly pronounced with the likes of Romero around the international breaks that he needs to rest his foot or he's got a discombobulated eyelash. And sorry, I'm not stupid. I'm not 12. I see through it, and I can't believe I'm the only person who sees through it. I'm absolutely sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. Yes, I understand you're proud Argentinian. Congratulations. We're all proud of where we come from, although in this country we're not allowed to raise flags up, otherwise we're inciting the rebirth of fascism. But goodness me, play the bloody games. We're paying your wages.
Hey, what do you think? When you and Tone were young and you were members of that Hitler Youth organisation.
Happy times, joyous moments.
Was that Nigel Farage one of your sparring partners?
No, he wasn't actually deemed fit and proper person to be as hardcore as Tony and I were.
I found Lamley's words very insensitive and cruel to him.
David Lamley.
We're not. I'm sorry, but I'm not allowed to talk about that because what happened in Hitler Youth stays in Hitler Youth.
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
I mean, apart from gonorrhea, that shit will follow you anywhere. But
so what was how did the secret handshake go?
If I told you, I'd have to kill you. It's as simple as that. In fact,
literally, that's one of the bylaws as well. Just to let you know.
That's in the bumper book of Untermensch that we don't let freely into the public domain.
Not to be confused with Buttmensch. So
munch and button better, bitter, as we used to say over the wire.
Let's segue into a completely different avenue, and then look at last night and say, okay, yeah, it was crap. It was not great in a lot of places. Last 10 and 15 minutes, perhaps, when we made the subs, we looked a lot better and a lot more competitive. But ultimately, regardless of the performance, we still managed to get a point, and that has to be a positive. And I think it was said last night, and although there was some major turd polishing going on last night in the
at the end.
Oh my god! Sorry, if they could have polished that turd off anymore, it would be tonight. It would be 24 karat gold. It was absolute nonsense they were spouting there, and Hoddle was really off on one. I don't know what he was on last night, but his meds are not working. But for me, would we have lost that game?
What was Hoddle saying then? That disabled people were responsible for the result or something? Was it?
He was basically saying that apart from the two, in a nutshell, apart from the two goals, we were actually quite defensively solid. It was just like, what?
Okay, Jesus.
Just like, what? Oh, really? How did you make that connection? And it was absolutely, and even Steve McManaman, who was just being all scousy and dickheadish as per usual, was going along with it. I'm thinking, what did you? Well, look, literally, what did you just actually watch? Literally,
the trouble is, there's increasing. I mean, I know the trend is to jump on the female commentators, but commentators traditionally, it's very rare. It's really unusual. You get anybody that actually offers anything of substance. I mean, you might get a little bit out of Martin O'Neill occasionally. And of course, Roy Keane. It tends to be the grumpier ones who give you a soundbite that's actually worth dealing with. But you're dealing with varying shades of vanilla. I
was going to say,
they're all
it's all homogenized. It's all so homogenized now. It's unbelievably bland. It really is.
It really is desperate. And then at the other end of the scale of which is the same product, if you like, but with different branding. You've got Jamie O'Hara going, "Oh mate, no, ooh, yeah, he should be sacked," and just shouting out extreme opinions because he's as thick, but he knows that he can generate more clicks by being more animated. I mean,
Roy Keane.
I know people like him, but this expressions oozing chap screaming fam and all the rest of it. If you don't have a headache after listening to that guy for more than about a minute, then you have got something wrong with you, or you're deaf or something, because it's just noise. It's like going, oh, that car alarm's funny, and then 20 minutes going, oh, that car alarm's still going. No, most people regard the car alarm noise as really annoying and want it to fucking stop. They don't care if the car has to blow up in the process. Just make it stop. Just make it stop.
But he is more scripted than this show is, isn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say absolutely. 100%.
I mean, that doesn't roll off the tongue naturally, does it? It's all considered.
No, it doesn't at all. And I commend him for doing some work, because that's the gap between him and the Spectrum brothers, who are just sitting and go, "Oh, God, I had some crisps today," because they're just genuinely mentally ill, not bright. I mean, the bald one and the very bald one, depending on.
I think that's insulting, H. That's very insulting to people who are genuinely mentally ill. I don't even think they're that. I just think they're vacuous. Just vacuum. There's a great big vacuum where their brain should be.
Well, they've got as many brain cells as they've got strands of hair coming out of their head.
What did
which I know is an indicator of intelligence, Chris. Sorry, Tony, whatever your name is.
I was just about to say, you have cut me to the quick there, but young old fella, you really have.
No. I'm saying I know that isn't a general rule of intelligence, because I mean Chris is as thick as mince, and look at him with luscious hair, luscious hair. You'd run your fingers through it if you didn't value your hand. That's all I can tell you.
That's what happens when you're a sexual tyrannosaurus. You see.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to bear in mind. Don't get him to do that thing again, because if I see that again, I won't have my lamb chop for lunch.
If he does that again, I think the Earth's axis will tilt by 2 degrees.
I just worry about his neighbours.
Everybody needs good neighbours.
Sitting in there in his garden. I'm the king of the castle. I've got a chair.
Talking about retardedness. When I was scanning through social media,
I'm here for that. Hello.
Yeah, when I was scanning through social media this morning, it amazed me that there were people who didn't criticise Ange once based on the amount of defeats he had last season. Yet after one 2-2 draw, the scathing attack on Thomas Frank and the negativity defies belief.
I think in fairness, I'm not an Ange out merchant, but I am prepared to share opinions which may not be palatable. And I think he needs to have a fucking work with himself, because he can't keep playing bad players and expecting the results to change. I mean, the only thing we were spared last night was Tell, because he's not registered for the competition.
But that decision alone speaks volumes.
Yeah, exactly.
That
decision alone speaks volumes about Tell.
Well, it tells us what we all know that he can't play football.
I mean, but there was a school of thought last night that said that if that had been that game had been under Ange's tenure, we wouldn't have won. We wouldn't have drawn that game. But we are resilient and we are very hard to beat, and we do seem to keep going right to the end.
Well, I watched that game, and all I saw was the weirdos in yellow having most of the ball. Let's have a look at the possession. They had most of the ball, and we looked like we were watching them play.
It was on the pitch, wasn't it?
Oh, it's 50.
Yes, it was.
50, and they had 52% to 48. Yeah.
And they also watered the plastic pitch before kickoff, didn't they? That I thought was particularly to a high level of shithousery.
Well, that struck me as fiendish, because my understanding was that if you bought plastic flowers for your house, the idea was that you didn't need to maintain them. You just sort of had to dust them occasionally. So the idea that you have a plastic pitch, it's like, I mean, why weren't they putting fertilizer on it?
But did you notice last night as well the amount of times that Spurs players got caught out by the pace of the pitch? They were behind the ball when the ball was being passed. They were running, but they were having to then almost drag their feet back to try and get the ball.
But didn't you and I have this conversation before about the bounce and the trajectory and the movement of a ball on an artificial surface being totally different?
It's completely the amount of backspin you get on a 4G pitch is incredible. It was evidence last night because as soon as the ball was going up in the air, the Bodø Glimt players were going straight to it because they knew where it was going to go, and we were going, what? Hello, what?
Yeah. No, it was exactly. I mean, I played on them a lot when I was a teenager in Germany, and I actually used to like playing on the artificial surface because it was a totally different game. It was a completely different game. And you got some players, I remember well, you got some players who suddenly you were thinking, well, why the fuck couldn't you play like that against so-and-so, the German side, the other week? And the reality was that they really thrived on that sort of fast, sort of air hockey, bang, ding, 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 ding sort of movement of the ball. Whereas on a football pitch, their brain couldn't cope with it being as slow as it was.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a weird one. But I wonder, and I haven't watched the press conferences yet. I'm uploading them at the moment, but I wonder if anybody in the press mentioned the artificial surface to Thomas. Was like, did you plan for it? Did you play? Because I bet they bloody didn't.
No, I don't think they did, because I think that was evident last night. We said that last year, didn't we? With Ange, we said exactly the same thing. You've got to prepare and plan by playing on artificial surfaces. So do all your practices after the Wolves game on artificial surface. You may not necessarily fully acclimatise.
Is that a glove you put on, Tony? You've got a repetitive strain thing from your sex swing. Is that what that is?
Okay. What?
Were you putting a glove on your hand?
No, I was just stopping the cat from getting into the rubbish bin at the side of my desk, the little bastard.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't realise you fed your cat out of a rubbish bin.
Well, I was having an altercation with the pussy. It wasn't going very well.
So you put on your latex gloves to remove any chance of leaving.
You haven't got a glove on your other. Oh, he hasn't got a glove on his other hand. No, what a pity.
I took it off. That was my comment. Was the delaying tactic.
Oh, right. So moving away from my failed joke to infer that you were having some sort of weird activity on your sex swing, which you conveniently didn't mention. What are our feelings ahead of Leeds? Because I have to say, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not sure what benefit not playing players will have actually done on this occasion.
We are going to have to be on our game from second one, because the Leeds crowd are going to be they're going to make that an absolute cauldron. Mm-hmm. The Leeds will be totally up for it, and they will be playing out of their skins because it will be a big scalp. And we have got to be on our game we've got to play our best squad. So I'm just hoping that Richarlison gets some form of, I don't know,
in his thumb.
Some form of death injury or something like that in between now and then.
Come on.
Sorry,
Chris, who needs to come on?
No, I said when he was saying I hope he gets an injury, I was saying a splinter in his thumb would probably put him out.
Yeah. Hopefully our fans can get the Jimmy Savile's one of your own going, which may give us an edge.
I can guarantee you one thing. We'll make Dominic Calvert-Lewin look like prime Marco van Basten throughout those 90 minutes or something.
Yeah.
He will run our defence ragged, and they'll be like, who is this bloke? He's generational. He's sensational.
Ellen Road is an absolute one of a kind. I have never seen so much, because there's a sort of an open bit by the away stand, and I've never seen so much litter. Now I'm sounding like an old man, but the amount of takeaway wrappers and bits of paper and old crisps and everything, I've never seen so much litter, and it just all because the way the wind blows. And it's like there's a rubbish van has accidentally offloaded.
Sounds like good planning. Sounds like good planning, mate. Sounds good environmental planning going on there. It all goes into one area.
If you go and sweep it up, I think they just brush it out into the road.
The dogs have heard your voices, and they've brought me a very fitting toy, and I don't know who it reminds me of.
That is a butt plug, isn't it?
Well, you've got your selection of butt plugs.
Oh, they're keys and butt plugs.
They heard Uncle H's dulcet tones, and they bought them.
Yes, interesting. Well, they know when I arrive that I'm looking for some butt fun. So,
Daddy, what door does this key open?
Daddy, this TV remote doesn't have any buttons.
Yeah, the what door does that open? The door to pleasure, son. The door to pleasure.
I would throw Archie Gray in on Saturday, let him return to Leeds. Hopefully it gives him a reason to perform out of his skin, and he can't get any worse.
I'd like to see him play. I'd like to see him start. I'd like to see some energy, and I'd like to see some player management. I mean, look back on some of the games that we won in the early days, and I hate to say it, but it does feel like the new manager bounce as well and truly got up and gone. You know,
I think that Frank in the first 7 games has addressed the defensive vulnerabilities. We look a lot more organised at the back, but he needs to take the handbrake off in the attacking areas, and he needs to be a little bit more ambitious going forward. And that starts by selecting the right starting 11. And you should send Odebear, Tell, Johnson, Richarlison to that place called Spinalonga and leave them there with the rest of the lepers to rot.
You know, when you say that, you're thinking, bloody hell, how much money is that? It's like, you know,
well, 200 million easily, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really is depressing, and the whole "you'll miss me, but I'm gone" is sadly ringing in our ears like bloody Big Ben.
I would do something revolutionary. I call it revolutionary, but I would do something different. I would drop Richarlison like a stone from a great height somewhere, and I would just I'd stick Johnson up front, tap-in merchant.
Yeah, I'd like to see him play as a target man.
If you do that on Saturday, he's going to be up against Joe Rodden, who used to play for us, and he'll be up against that Pascal Scheik or whatever, the Dutch centre back.
Strike, yeah.
They're both knocking around for fun, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, he is a fairy from the bottom of the garden. He is a hairdresser that gets beaten up by other hairdressers. I mean, he is
Matt Hayes' favourite player.
But both of those players are notoriously slow, and Brendan Johnson does have a bit of pace about him. And I'm not saying this is going to work. I just think we need to do whatever we're going to do. We need to do something different and unexpected that they're just not going to be prepared for, because that's probably going to be our only advantage here. Because if we play with our standard squad, if we play with a squad that went out against Wolves, then their Leeds are better than Wolves, and they're going to get a result. We're not going to scrape a draw out of that if we play like we did against Wolves.
Maybe the Spurs players should wear men's underwear for once. You know, opposed to, you know, thongs and things.
Or tenor pads. Get tenor pants or something like that.
Yeah. Their speciality, little old lady pants. You know.
Well, honestly, they may as well wear tenor pants because they were shitting themselves most of last night and on a Saturday as well. So
I honestly don't see where there's going to be benefit visible for having rested people last night. And I've said it before, said it again. Winning creates its own momentum, its own sort of orbit, gravity, if you like, and you get into the habit of winning. And I think this bunch, I don't know, I just despair, because it worries me that they can turn it off with so casually.
There was that guy. There was that guy out of the under-21s who I think he was on the bench earlier in the season. Ellis Lehane, centre forward.
Don't know him.
And you've got that other lad that's been scoring goals for the under-21s, Oliver Iro. What's worse than if these guys are good enough, give them a go, because in front of them, very ordinary Dan Scarlett, who we've discussed time and time again, and he's not fit for purpose.
I've said to you before, and it doesn't matter that Levy isn't there now. I think that the damage is done. And I think an awful lot of these youth players, it's like women's football, for those of you joining us late, that it's being done for political reasons rather than done because on a meritocracy. And so you say, well, we've spent, X million quid on players, which obviously you get lots of, but we've got lots of academy players. But the reality is there is no genuine sense that any of them are going to come through the system, because they never have, because you don't point to Harry Kane, you don't point to Harry Winks and say, well, these guys have made lots of money. Let's keep it at that. Don't worry about the football. because those two have, but everybody else hasn't. I mean, you've got the Jake Livermores of the world and other people who sort of had a go but didn't quite make it. And, you know, Wayne, what was his name? Wayne Barnard, all of these guys that are vaguely, was it Pritchard?
Harry Barnard, the centre forward.
That's it, yeah.
Alex Pritchard.
Pritchard. But all of these guys have not cut the mustard. They've not been good enough. And we're going through the motions. I would actually take a Lord Sugar approach. And, you know, it's like saying, well, we've got to do something. We like for example, we've spent 120 million on two really crappy strikers. Right. Well, what's he doing over there? Well, he's currently on the books at 6 million. He's currently on the books at 2. Right. We'll sell them, and their mates, and the lads stood behind them. Sell them off tomorrow. Don't care who buys them. Sell them to fucking Arsenal. Don't care, and go out and buy a striker that can actually score goals.
Well, it's not
because that has to be done. There's something at this club has to be done to take it by the scruff of the neck. Stop indulging mediocrity. And it's all about, oh, yeah, we're investing in this, we're investing. I'm sick of it. Let's win. Buy people that can do what it says on the tin.
Well, you look at how desperate we are to try and sell these perceived stars, but Ndombele, who was our record signing at the time, we were happy to terminate his contract in the end, just to get him out of the building, weren't we?
But we've done that before. I mean, Adebayor, I think... what was the other guy? Benny Ekotto, the little far right fascist nationalist pig dog that he was, doing his little what did they call it? It basically was like a Hitler salute that him and some of these far right mental patients were doing. I mean, we've let so many people go and paid off their contracts, and we just hemorrhaged money. Like I say, one of Levy's big things that nobody ever congratulated him on was the amount of money that he wasted and made colossally bad decisions. I would be amazed if Peter Charrington didn't highlight this in his "This Is Your Life" moment with him in the boardroom.
The thing is, it was okay whilst he was making Joe Lewis and co millions and millions of pounds. Correct. But once it became known that he was feathering his own nest and trying to basically fuck the hand that feeds him,
correct.
Then that it wasn't tolerated anymore. So for me now, this is a pivotal moment in there's lots of pivotal moments, but for me this is a pivotal moment in where we are right now. In that, are the Lewis and his kids, are they and Charrington, how much interaction he has or how much desire he has with them. Yeah. Are they really going to put their money where their mouth is? Do they really mean what they say? Because we really need it right now, because the next 2 or 3 transfer windows are going to be absolutely crucial to whether we can actually start to push on. And because we've got the right manager in place, I have no doubt about that. But no matter how good the manager is, you ain't going to win anything with turds.
No, right. And this is precisely the tone that I think all of us are giving off here, that we don't dislike Thomas Frank, think he can do, not work miracles, but he can do well, but nobody can work miracles. If you're into that sort of stuff, as I say, get yourself down the mosque. The churches are empty in this country. Get yourself down the church. There's plenty of room for everybody. But if you want to see practical, forward-thinking progression, then you're going to have to give people the right tools. Giving somebody Richarlison and asking them to win a trophy is insane. It's like asking me to fly a jet. I don't even, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. You need qualified people, ambitious people, talented people. And they need to stop, as I say, spreading. I mean, it's like, Spurs to me, it's like when you go to one of these cheapo bakeries. And my mate, we went to a market on Saturday, and he bought this cream cake. And I said to him, "That's bigger than your head." It was massive. He took a huge bite out of it and said, "Oh," he said, "that's not even real cream.
It's that artificial nonsense, isn't it? Yeah,
it was some substitute." Yeah. And the reality is, he ate the thing in about 30 seconds, because obviously, we all like a cream cake, no matter how shitty it is. But he ate the thing, and then he said, really could have done with a cream cake, That's why I bought that. And it's just like, that's Tottenham. Tottenham looks like a really premium product, but once you actually have got it on the palate, once you've actually tasted it, you've experienced it, you're thinking, I really wanted to support a football team that was going to have a proper go. But we've got all of these people that are like a cream substitute. You know, there is a sort of thing on the top of the pastry, but it's not that premium, like chunky bits of sugar, the proper like baking sugar that they use in decent bakers. So you get that crunch, you go, oh bloody hell, I got a bit of sugar go up my gum or whatever. It's some sort of synthetic, it's just rubbish. It's just not the required standard. And Spurs are like a cream cake that doesn't bloody hit the spot, which is depressing. Because you buy a cream cake to get the luxury, the enjoyment of the whole thing.
Your poor friend's not having much luck. He had the misfortune of not having a proper king cake, and then 48 hours later, he lost his house keys and was made.
Well, first of all, you'll be pleased to hear that those are both true tales, but different people.
I was going to say, not making a big thing.
When I am near, there is this magic aura. You know, where people's lives become inexplicably enhanced.
I'm just a bit confused, Chris. I'm just a bit confused, mate. I'm just a bit confused, Chris. He's got all these mates who seem to be deeply unfulfilled when they're around him.
Men. We never hear any stories.
It's the magic of the moment.
We never hear any stories of him smashing some tartan via the back doors, but there's lots of masculine activity. I'm fine with it, and I embrace it.
You think a bloke buying a cream cake? A bloke buying a cream cake and another bloke losing his keys are masculine activities. Thank you very much. But we'll have to go through to the next caller because you have not won a major prize today.
But I have hit the nail on the head. Yeah. So perhaps
we need keys. I don't think much to this cake.
Perhaps we need that space cadet who's going to invest 1.2 billion in us because we need some quality signings, don't we? One moment.
Well, I tell you, your dog climbed out the window. My concern for the space cadet, Mr. Brooklyn Earlicker or whatever his name is.
404. Should we just call him 404?
Yeah, is that his fucking thing, his banner on his Twitter account says Red Ruck or whatever. And when you click on the link, which is redruck.com or whatever it is, it's a 404. The website doesn't exist. But the point being is it's not even under construction. That's what happens when the website gets pulled. So he clearly had it at one stage and he no longer has it. And it's anybody who's ever owned a... You're looking great there, Chris. I've just lost my breakfast. But anybody who's ever owned a website knows that this takes forever. You get daily emails. You're at risk of losing your website. And this is supposed to be his brand. Absolute banana.
As when you're using that VPN to suggest you're transmitting from Venezuela, anything's likely to happen.
Well, that's the problem you would know well. And first of all, I would recommend, and we're very satisfied with the service. And I awarded you the commensurate amount of stars in my review for the Fire Stick you sold me. Thank you.
Are those is that what you're using for your watch-alongs?
I don't do watch-alongs. I think you've got the wrong person. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
that's what we need. We need more people doing podcasts and stuff with dogs. It's as straightforward as that. In fact, get the fucking dogs Donna Cullen brought into the game. Get the dogs on the pitch. That's what I say.
Yeah, well, they'd show a lot more fight, determination and passion than the current Spurs players, wouldn't they?
Well, they'd act like dogs, and dogs are fundamentally brilliant, and we wouldn't get annoyed. So scrap the team, scrap everything, and just let's all go in and watch dogs run around chasing balls on a football pitch. Much better idea.
I'd be buying a season ticket for that. Not a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Queuing up the road for that.
Your missus would be confused, as when you usually tell her you're going out dogging, it means something completely different, Tone.
The missus doesn't worry about me going out dogging. She's always with me.
In the back of the van.
Flashing your headlights, people.
Or like flashing a flashlight.
Yeah.
Hence the phrase that she's known locally as a people person.
And just another one to please H. They've kicked Levy's bankers into touch as well.
Yes, Rothschild have left the building.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So the Lewis family are sending out pretty clear messages. They are actually, if you think about it. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, and businesses send out messages, and by that I don't mean they start putting big signs up, but just they send out messages, and you get certain premises will attract burglars because they look a bit run down, and people think, well, there might be, whatever. And them coming out and saying that they're not for sale twice now, and then sacking off the bankers who clearly, if you know anything about banking, Rothschild is somebody that you would want to be with if you were getting your sort of house in order. I would really like to see it because they're almost acting as if they're a little bit angry, a little bit peeved that people have been misreading the situation. And you've got to bear in mind that, we make the jokes on here before about Daniel Levy wanting to sell the thing, but boy, he did want to sell the thing. He was just incompetent about it.
This is.
We used to get regular updates. All the naming rights are just round the corner. Thank you, Football Insider. We're thinking of you at this difficult time. We used to get regular things. Oh, there's somebody coming from outer space to invest all their money that they're bringing with them in their spaceship, but it never happened. It never came to fruition. And this clearly was a drip-fed campaign on behalf of Daniel Levy Enterprises Limited, and it was designed it was a bit of stocking. It was a bit of come and get it that he was running. And they've clearly, the Lewises have had the ache with the man. You don't take the guy's phone and computers and off the. He was pretty much treated like a criminal when he left.
This is the Levy equivalent of whitewashing. They are basically removing him from history. They are trying to remove any connection that he had with the club or with associated in history. They're absolutely if they went any further to distance themselves from him, they'd probably be on another planet right now.
I think he gets everything he deserves based on his sacking of Martin Jol at half-time during a match. Yeah. And the disgraceful way that he treated Harry Kane, one of the greatest stars to have pulled on a shirt for this football club.
No,
it was absolutely disgusting how he dealt that. And Harry Kane wasn't even allowed to go back to the training ground, and he was presented his belongings in a cardboard box. So he who laughs last laughs the loudest, and he deserves all this. And I've got no sympathy for him one bit.
No, and again, I'm gonna plug me. I had built up a picture based upon what very reliable people had told me over the years, and I was endlessly the .com. I must have banned hundreds of people who said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," and I was right. You were all wrong. And now you're seeing it unfold. I thought it was fascinating. They got rid of Donna Cullen so quickly. And they then took their time to make sure that they had all of the information to then get rid of him. And you see how they're behaving now. And I think peeved is how they're coming across. Well, and they won't care. They will want to assert themselves. It's their bloody company. And we still, honestly, thank you, Tony, for introducing me to the misery of Spurs fans on Facebook. But the amount of ridiculous conversations I was seeing with people saying that, well, Daniel Levy's got so-and-so percentage and he can... No, he's got checks that he can't cash. That was what he was striving towards, was radically is realising his assets. He was looking to turn his 29.8% or whatever he got into 29.8 bazillion goat's hooves or whatever it was. This is why they got rid of him. And this is why he was slung out. They took his phone off him. They took his access away from everywhere. And we won't see him at Tottenham Hotspur again because he won't be there rubbing shoulders, hobnobbing with the executives because he's not allowed to. I worked for a dreadful company, one of the companies I worked for in Ireland, and the people were great, but the company weren't great, and they went pop. But they had a thing in their thing, which I didn't understand at the time because I was young and naive, that you weren't allowed to associate with anybody who'd formerly worked for the business. And that was a thing taken. It was straight out of, as ever, it comes from the boardroom. It doesn't come from the guys in the loading bay. The culture of the company came from the one guy. And once you met him, you understood why. Because he was absolutely ruthless and paranoid that people were talking about him.
I didn't realise you worked for the IRA,
Yeah, it was a little bit of wet work. I painted rooms for the Irish.
Member of the Nutter squad.
Fabulous painter. I could do three rooms in an afternoon.
Yeah, but only the colour red.
That was it. Red is the colour. But no,
Yeah.
but this sort of scorched earth policy, when you do it to people who don't deserve it, it is absolutely an abomination. And as you say, the way Kane was treated, but the way that the club has treated people even before Daniel Levy, it's traditional in a lot of football clubs that the business of the legends.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why Steve Perryman doesn't play a significant role in the club, because he works very hard doing what he does, and he was in the game obviously for many years, whereas Gary Mabbott really wasn't. And you've got guys hanging around there. I mean, Steve Sedgley, for Christ's sake, he's not a legend.
It was
any definition of the word.
I lost all respect for some of the legends when they wheeled them out last season in support of Ange Postecoglou, and they clearly hadn't watched a Tottenham game. They were full of praise, gushing about how good a manager is and how we should be submitted. And you're thinking,
well, look at, I mean, Micky,
who's
as thick as mince. I mean, Hazard, and Roberts. I remember them selling signed photos on a trestle table on the high road. So if you want a man who would gladly take a monkey a week or whatever he's getting off them to come out and gush about things, I mean, obviously Roberts is a loaded gun, or as we refer to them in the trade, a complete weapon, and is liable to consume vast quantities of booze and other substances and make death threats over social media late at night.
Is that a weapon?
A weapons grade weapon, yes, that's correct. Yeah, but no, I mean, but these guys, they're hired hands, they're stooges. I mean, Mabbott's a nice guy, but where's Perryman? And there's all these other guys floating around that could be involved. You think of anybody, because I'm thinking about the right demographic, age-wise, because you don't want. I mean, not everybody's like Cliff Jones, who's sprightly at his age. But if you think of the Spurs team that I grew up with obviously Ozzy Ardiles and all the rest of it, but the rest of that team, where are the players from there? They're legends. They won trophies, and they're treated with complete contempt.
Legends are only legends for people who achieve something, not actually just do something.
No, absolutely right. I mean, I spoke to Rob White at one point, and his family weren't treated well. I can't give the name, but there was a writer, I will say, who was invited to present something half-time on the pitch. And Daniel Levy said, fantastic. She then got in touch and was told that she needed to buy a ticket. She was doing service. She would have otherwise been at home with her. I've let it out the cat out of the bag a little bit there. But that person would have been at home with their grandchildren. But we want you to come and hand something over at half time in front of the cheering millions, in there in the flesh and on TV, and we're going to have to ask you to buy a ticket, which I understand they did.
In fact, I think we should call upon the Lewis family to retrospectively refer Daniel Levy to the Serious Fraud Office for the billions and millions of pounds that he wasted on substandard shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
over the years.
I always joke about, because I did actually have an Amstrad vertical record player where you screwed the thing over the thing. Yeah. It didn't bloody work. Yeah. It didn't bloody work, because not every piece of vinyl was dead. What's its name? And even if it was a bit wibbly wobbly, gravity kept the stylus on the record, so there wasn't a problem with that. But the moment you stuck it sideways, which was just a crazy thing to do anyway, it didn't work. But he, generally speaking, produced products at the right price so people bought them. Whereas this other shyster, Levy, he produced stuff which was the bare minimum he could get away with. And he said, well, he's an international striker. He plays for Everton, Brazil. I mean, he doesn't know anything about football, and he despised football. But his legacy is that we're still having to trawl through the carnage that he created, even though he's been thrown out virtually naked.
Which leads us back to what Chris said, what you said earlier, Chris, at the start, was about last night we were showing us that we're still living through the ghost of Daniel Levy.
Well, this is a ghost of Fuckmas past, isn't it?
Basically, yeah.
Levy got away with it for so long. How old's Joe Lewis? What's he in his
80s, 84, 85, 84, something like that?
Yeah, so Joe Lewis is 88 years of age, born 5th of February 37. Yeah. So 89 next year. He was worried about going to prison for his insider trading. So they took the eye he took his eye off the investment. Danny Boy was pretty much free to do whatever he wanted with no scrutiny. Then, as plans are made, because everybody dies one day, I hate to say, but the Lewis family are preparing for the future. And the youngsters come in with fresh ideas, fresh blood, and a different mentality of things.
Well, I hope they do. I hope they do come in with fresh ideas. They've done enormous good works.
Yeah, what they've done. Yeah, come in and actually said, well, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right, and it doesn't sound right. And that's very quickly ended the tenure of Levy, who's been quite literally marched off the premises. That tells you everything you need to know. Anybody who's been employed for 25 years is generally given an IWC watch inscribed with finalists and patted on the back and thanked for, they may do a little few sandwiches or something, but none of that.
No, I mean, this is, I mean, we spoke off of this the other day about it, and the idea, I mean, I've left companies, and I've been in the ridiculous position on 2 occasions where I've actually been asked back because they did miss me when I was gone. I made the right decision at the time, but I've never left anybody, to the best of my knowledge, who wanted to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't survive in any world like that. But to be thrown out the door as this guy, jettisoned as this guy has been by Tottenham, tells you everything you need to know.
That's quite an accolade.
You can also factor that. Go on, Chris.
I said that's quite an accolade, H, bearing in mind you used to be employed by the Taliban.
Well, I enjoyed our time together. For me, I knew it wasn't going to last because of my culturally Christian outlook. So I'm sure I was viewed with suspicion. But once you achieve productivity, you keep the head count up. Everybody's pleased.
H was the head of their online. Yeah, he was the head of their online presence, Osama bin Laden.
Well, he has made most of the stuff up in the past, so why change a habit of a lifetime?
Exactly.
My ability to talk at length, lie, and to act in a completely unscrupulous manner in public has served me very well.
Well, we're not talking about your 3 previous marriages now. We're talking about footballing affairs.
Poor old Madame de Hotspur. Whatever happened to her?
This is coming from the man who makes people lose their keys and gives and they end up having artificial cream in all their cream slices. Come on.
Well, I have to say I think people need to take responsibility for their own possessions, even if some of their possessions are thrown at television sets, by third parties.
I was disappointed as I was expecting that story to go on to how you'd been thrown out of yet another pub in your lifetime.
No, that pub actually liked me a lot. I believe. I mean, they probably viewed me with slightly different hearing if they didn't see me throw the coat last night. But I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, it's almost as if these keys, if indeed he had keys, I mean, we don't know the full ins and outs, were rubber keys like the ones you've got on the desk there.
Oh, I see he's been consulting his lawyers again, Chris. You can tell now. It's plausible deniability stuff.
After he read as the riot act that we were getting in trouble with YouTube because of our profanity.
Yeah, honestly.
There's a new strategy for that. I'm going to be a little bit delayed putting us up. That's good news.
It does delay as you get old, H.
That's good news there, because a mate of mine, another mate, you see, but again, within my aura, good and bad happens, and he's just got the probably all clear on his cancer.
That's great. That's good. Good for him.
Absolutely sensational. So they're going to scan him again in a month.
Absolutely.
But that'll upset a lot of people because some people really don't like him.
And when they did the scans, they found his keys.
Yeah.
Well, curiously enough, they had to scan him a number of times before they realised that the keys were genuinely inside his lung.
That's
That's
great news. That's great news.
That is
brilliant
great news because he's seriously one of the loveliest guys you'll ever meet. He works on the tools. He's an outdoorsman. I think you describe him as. He's an absolute rock star.
H and his rugged types again, Chris, isn't it?
The village people are going to parade for his back passage any minute now.
Yeah.
Like a man, he can handle a pneumatic drill. I'm led to believe.
I like men with dirt under their fingernails. What can I tell you? But so he's a rock star. That's absolute fantastic news. But we've done an hour and 20 minutes.
We can't conclude without wishing our Jewish followers happy Yom Kippur. So I hope you have
Why would we want to do that? Everybody's the friend of the Jew these days. It makes me sick. Well, this show is very pro-Jew. If you've been listening to us, and hopefully the insanity of this Labour government isn't amongst us for much longer, and we can recognise certain countries that have been states that have been recognised. We can recognise them for what they truly are, and undo some of the recent shenanigans. But there we go. That's the end of my particular political broadcast. Up the yids. And don't forget, vote Jew. That's my advice. Any bagels? Any deals on bagels?
I do love a bagel. I do love a bagel.
Madeline, what now? I'm recording.
I see your boyfriend, Manor Solomon, scored the other day for Villarreal. Came on, got.
He's an exceptional footballer and a fine Jew. There you go. You see, you cut me and I bleed hollow bread.
I will find you wherever you go.
These are not the droids you're looking for. Right. Any more for any more?
2-0 to Leeds.
Wow. Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a Desmond as well. No, I'm going to go for a Desmond. Yeah.
A Desmond Tutu. I am going to say
Which way though, Chris? Which way? Yeah,
who's going to get?
Who's going to get the Desmond?
Who's going to score 2?
We will go 1 up. They will equalise and then go 2-1 up, and then we will get the 2-2.
Fascinating stuff. I'm going to go for Spurs to lose by a single goal.
Or it will be like watching Bonnie Blue, and grown men will be going out through our midfield with relative ease.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to be very concerned if we see Leeds United come out and they're all wearing blue balaclavas. and just socks.
Hey, Basuma's fit and training again. Maybe he's the secret weapon. Maybe we need to deploy hippie crack to get us out of this.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious with Bonnie.
I heard you were curious, but do carry on.
I'm just curious. Yeah, well, that's between me and my bias. But I'm curious as to why she thinks that Brennan Johnson is the man to fill her hole.
I think that's actually made up. I don't like Brennan Johnson, and it would amuse me enormously that he'd fallen into Betty Blue or whatever her name is, Bonnie Blue. But I think that is a piece of complete fiction. Because if I was going to pick a footballer that was banging that old goat, I might go for somebody who looked like he had it in him. And he doesn't look like he's got it in him.
What? Thomas Partey?
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Partey, absolutely. You know, he'd fuck a cup of it, had a crack in it, you know. But
he's a backdoor merchant, isn't he?
He does the dirty, does he? Bless him.
As it was said in the Mass, Party, because I got
her. That's horrible. What an unpleasant little man you are. And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, you've been sensational, and you helped us fill the void of another morning. We'll love you and leave you. We'll see you again after the Leeds game.
Press the like.
Good
subscribe.
Luck.
Get the algorithm.
Subscribe.
some lovely
subscribe,
comments.
write in and tell us how good looking we are. And don't forget the beer vouchers.
And make sure you keep all your keys safe.
Yeah. Unless you want a night home with H.
Good evening.